Welcome to the Magic of Medicals podcast. I'm your host, Buddy Abrahams.
And I'm Terry Allen.
A show about the moments that changed people's lives forever. Welcome to the Magic of Medicals podcast. I'm your host, Buddy Abrahams.
And I'm Terry Allen.
And today we've got Michiel Kroon and Leanne with us today. And welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here.
And they're actually live today from Glastonbury, one of my favourite destinations in the UK. Amazing energy. So thank you for sharing that energy with us on here. And I just want to quickly, before we dive in, is just every year I go home, I do try and go to Glastonbury. I do love the energy there. And I came across, this is how we got in contact with Leanne and Michiel, is I picked up their oracle cards in the Chalice Well bookshop in Glastonbury. And they are the most beautiful, pure, divine, loving energy that I feel that our planet we should be living in. And they are channeled so beautifully, and with so much clarity and depth, but also a lot of insight and a lot of work went into this. I know that. You put a lot of work, both of you, into these cards. Yeah. Because I could feel it with each page, each card. There's just a lot of information in there, and you've just weaved so many different elements as well into each card and each wording. And so I just wanted to mention to everybody, this is how we got connected through these beautiful Divine Lemurian cards, oracle cards and book. But so thank you for sharing this with us and the world. I think they're absolutely beautiful. So thank you for that before we start.
We'll put the full details available on our website as well as on the podcast. So anyone who wants to reach out is free to do that, but we'll give full details on them.
But I just wanted to
thank you for your amazing compliment. That's so lovely.
Yeah.
Well, they are on a whole different level, these cards. And
obviously these cards come with a vibration, Terry.
Completely high vibration. I've bought numerous of cards. I must have about 50 decks or more. But these are the most highest vibrational cards I've ever felt.
Yeah, they kind of came through from that vibration, and we were just kind of in the flow, and it was like the whole universe was assisting us in bringing it through and bringing it out. So it all happened in divine timing and with lots of divine guidance and divine assistance from our guides, from Lemurian beings, the cosmic beings, Archangel Michael. There were lots of
our own
light family involved.
What's interesting is that, I mean, you've used these cards much more than
every
me,
day.
But I feel that they were done with no rush.
No.
They were done with pure level of calmness, but also a level of, if it's time to put out. It's not, because sometimes you get a card and you feel like it's just the rush and it's just been put out for the sake of putting out. But these are like, there's no rush putting them out at all whatsoever, because they had to come up with the right energy and the right vibration. But also every single element of this cards, I feel like has been chosen for a specific purpose on that card.
Absolutely. Well, it all came through so graciously and flowingly and harmoniously. And even down to amazing kind of how the universe provided so that we could take our time and have no distractions, and how, it was enabled to be just, the true, the pure thing and the pure energies and the messages, that wanted to come through, really.
How long did it take you guys to do them?
About 3 years to create it and then publish it for the first time. So most of that time we were in the creation journey together, and it was kind of like each card was like a light code. It was like a guidance, you could say, from the high dimensions that was
correct
assisting us on our journey, but at the same time we knew that it could assist a wider audience. So we kind of had that in mind as well. And we originally wanted to create 44 cards, and so after the 44 we kept getting new ideas, and then it was going to be in the 50s, and then it was going to be more, and then it ended up 88 cards. So it was kind of an abundant creation process, like an abundant kind of inspiration that was there to make it together. And we went through deep journey. It was kind of diving deep into everything that comes up in a relationship. And so it was like a complete healing journey and transformation. And when I say healing, what I mean with healing is just to realize that you're already whole, but really to really feel that on all levels. So it's like kind of an ancient remembrance that we're already whole and complete. It's just, we just need to really receive that and feel that energy to truly know it.
It's like our true selves beyond stuff that's got in the way.
Correct. Yeah. I agree with you on that one. Because with each card, whenever you're pulling a card, I mean, some have meditations with them that you click to another link. There's a lot of affirmations, a lot of small visualizations that you do with the cards. And it does then take you into that energy, which is, I felt when I did them, like the imagery in my mind came so clear and easier than it does on this planet. And I was like, whoa, that's how I think our planet really looks without what you just mentioned, was the distortion of the illusion that's been put on this planet. That actually, that is, because that's where I feel my soul expands, and I know this is where I'm really from.
Yeah, all the other stuff just kind of dissolves in that energy.
Exactly. It dissolves, and then when I come out of that, I was like, oh, okay. So I've got to work on putting your paintings up above my bed, because maybe that might just be at the top of my crown chakra that helps me to stay a lot more there. You know, it's bouncing. Sometimes I don't like to come back. I'm sure you guys understand that. I just don't want to come back from that place at all. And so I try and immerse myself in nature as much as possible.
Which is the most similar vibration, isn't it? Because it's unaffected by the distortions.
100%. But so yeah, they are just, God, incredible. So
miraculous things happened aplenty in the making, even in our meeting, and how we came to know each other, how we came to be doing this together. It really, so many amazing things, and just in our life paths as well, you know. But I think a really kind of interesting one is when we met, Michiel had already started, he'd gone quite far along into making an oracle deck called the
Pleiadian
Oracle. And I had been guided for about a year to do the Lemurian deck. And I had all my mind maps and all my kind of keywords and concepts that I wanted to do. And then so I was kind of, building on that, and Michiel had been working on his thing. And then I had a friend, we have a mutual friend, who was doing an art exhibition with Michiel. And I was working as a clinical psychologist, and I had a lot of what they call time owing, where you've done overtime and they don't want to pay for it, but you take the time back, kind of thing.
Right.
So I knew my friend might need a hand with her exhibition, because I knew that she was really busy with stuff going on with her son who has special needs, and he was transitioning into an adult placement from school, and it was all going on for her. So I took some time off, and I was really guided to as well. I was just like, no, you've got to be up there in Glastonbury. I wasn't living here at the time myself.
Right.
And so I came up, and it turns out that my friend couldn't do anything. She couldn't do any time at the gallery at all. Because there was so much of these meetings that she had to go to, because things hadn't kind of been, the provision hadn't been made properly for her son by the council. And so she was really not able to be there. So that's when I kind of met, Michiel, really. I don't think we'd met before then, had we?
No. That was the time, yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up kind of spending a bit of time together and went for lunch a few times and what have you. I don't think I knew about your deck then. I knew mine. Or maybe I did show you some of my artwork.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was quite amazing. The connection that we felt straight away.
So when you guys met, it was almost like a past life connection that came together? It was like you kind of knew each other, or you kind of there was that connection of like, oh wow, kind of knew each other.
I think for me it was like a recognition of the energy from Leanne, kind of, let's call it divine feminine, connected with Lemuria, and I recognized that the energy of unconditional love. So that made me feel, like very much at home in that energy, very much, very comfortable. And so it was definitely a recognition for me, and it was I would say that it was a higher self connection, because on a vibrational level we were really connecting, and we realized later that we had been connecting even before we met, because when we tried to put our artwork together, it all fitted perfectly, like we worked together on it.
6 months later, after that first meeting, I'd managed to get a sabbatical from work, which I'd been asking for about a year.
Right.
And you were free, and I suddenly got this tax rebate out of nowhere that enabled me to buy a camper van. And I said, all right, I'm traveling for a while just to, recoup, because it's such a demanding job. And also, I had been married, and that came to an end and unexpectedly. So that I was processing that. And so everything kind of came together in perfect timing, and I said to you, do you want to come traveling? And we did. We set off to Europe
in the camper van.
In a camper van, yeah.
Yeah, because you went to Spain, you went to Ibiza.
I've seen that in the back.
Yeah. And we went to France, south of France, spent a lot of time in Mary Magdalene country there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we're really connecting, with their energies as well, and just getting a lot of healing from those energies.
Are you guys now settled in Glastonbury, right?
Yes.
It's interesting because I've visited Glastonbury a few times with Terry, but for me it was a different experience. I was like, oh, it was a bit strong for me.
He's not been well. Twice he's been there and he wasn't well.
Oh, bless you.
For me, I flourish in there, but
she loves it.
I love it.
Yeah.
But for Buddy, he's like.
It varies a lot because it's on so many ley lines.
Correct. So
I can feel the energy fluctuating.
Yes.
And I get affected by it at times myself, and I can feel it's definitely sometimes affecting me in my sleep. you know,
Right.
with dreams, and I just know that that's energy that's around in the town.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being able to kind of clear energies and know what's your energy and what isn't is really important here, I think.
And how have you guys, that probably would be great to share with many people now that are listening. How have you learned to identify and clear that? Because it is sometimes, you know, we've done healing and energy work and also for 15 years. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to pinpoint sometimes. I've
If
got
it's yours,
better.
if someone else is correct.
Yeah, I've got better as I've got older. I don't know about you. I think, you know, like, oh, something's not right in here. I've got to stop a minute and let me just find where it is.
Yeah.
And then you just know what's yours and what's not. So what would you like to share with people both?
I think if you're suddenly feeling out of the blue something that feels like really heavy, really negative, really icky, kind of energies that you don't really recognize.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of just do a scanner, I guess, of your energy, and you just feel, you know, is that mine? Is that something that resonates from somewhere? That's a place where I do a lot of healing, you know, within myself. And if you don't really recognize it and nothing's coming forward from your own energies and your own memories, you know, that relates to that, then I think then you can kind of say, I think that energy is not mine, or it's not really it's not something that feels that it's got anything useful to bring to me.
Right.
You know, if it's connecting with something inside, then maybe it's come because there's something in your energy that's attracted it to bring your awareness up of something. But
I just want to add something as well. I would say that's brilliant, and also like ask your guides, ask Archangel Michael to assist with sorting it out, because sometimes you get a lot of energies. Well, I get this with groups as well. There's a lot of people at the same time, so I can't like personally untangle like whatever's going on in all of those people at the same time. But luckily, when I do my groups, my consciousness expands quite a bit. Like I get quite expanded and I get quite connected with all the guides. So there's a lot of help at those times. And so I feel that is really really key as well. Like when you start working with more people or people that have got quite a lot going on, to ask for that guidance. And then you just sort of see what you need to see in the moment. So it's not too overwhelming. You just see one thing at a time, basically.
For those listening, could you just explain one at a time? So the Pleiadians, could you just explain to people that are listening the Pleiadian energy? Because a lot of people probably won't know what that is.
Yeah, so the Pleiades are in the high dimensions, but they are also on Earth with people that are really connected with the Pleiades, or people that might have spent some time there in other incarnations, and so connecting with those beings can also activate those let's call it memories, but they're not really memories, they're activations. So that can kind of trigger that knowing inside of your cosmic heritage, your cosmic being,
favorite place,
existence. So you can start to remember that you are cosmic, basically, And so I feel that's the connection. That's how that connection can be really helpful. First of all, just for remembering yourself on all levels, and remembering your connection to the divine source. And then secondly, they're helping the collective. So the Pleiadian beings in the higher dimensions that assist the collective of humanity by sending light. And so connecting to the Pleiades can be really good for tuning into that, sending that light to the collective, if that's what you want to do. And I know a lot of people want to do that, want to assist the collective. And so sending light is really the best way, better than sort of taking it in too much, better than anchoring too much in the earth and absorbing it from the earth, because that can really wear you down. And so then thirdly, like the Pleiadians are very evolved beings that can also teach us about our evolutionary steps and where we're going next. So for example, they can teach us about communicating by thoughts directly.
Communing.
Yeah, communing and telepathic.
Yeah.
And they can bring in light codes that activate our DNA. So when I say activate our DNA, it's all about divine ability. So it's about healing. It's about being able to connect with our guides. It's about increasing your vibration. So all of those and more divine abilities that we can activate. Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of like the siddhis or gifts of the Holy Spirit, they're our natural way of being. I think that's how we're created to be on Earth. And
by calling in the light codes, do you just call them in from the Pleiadians into your? Is that how you would do that?
Yeah. So I ask for the light codes and trust that they will come. They could be spoken, or they could be singing, or they could be drawing, colors or movement. And everyone's got this divine ability. I noticed that because there's a light language group that we sometimes look at, and I noticed that it's grown to tens of thousands, hasn't that?
Members,
yeah. We were on there when it was just hundreds.
Well,
so.
Carmen started it. Our mutual friend Carmen, also an artist, singer. She started that group. Yeah,
and it's really all people like who are making videos of their own light language. So some people are remembering these codes that are coming into
them. It's the energies that kind of come in this very abstract way.
Yeah,
with sounds and shapes and squiggles and hand movements even.
Yeah, I see them doing that. Yeah, it's quite unique, isn't it? Very unique.
And each person is probably bringing through slightly different.
Yeah, they are. I saw that.
And if you think about it, as higher selves, we have these soul aspects, the soul which has all these different incarnations all around the earth, but all around the universe as well.
Yeah, you're right,
because there's the likelihood of our planet being the only one that can support life is pretty slim, and they're even really quite convinced, aren't they, now that there was life on Mars and things like that.
And for those listening, would you like to explain the Lemurian energy?
Yeah.
I think, so then people fully understand.
So the Lemurian energy for me came very much, started with a meditation. I'd been meditating regularly, but that particular day I was meditating under a pyramid, and owned by a friend. And one minute I was just being in this lovely space, and the next minute I felt so strongly like I was underwater, and I was in this, surrounded by this aquamarine color, and I couldn't. I started to think, I'm underwater and I can't breathe, kind of thing. And I heard, or I felt this reassurance, you know, it's okay, you can breathe underwater. So I just felt like I was breathing underwater, and just the energies, it was so amazing. It was such an upgrade from my energies before, and I just, you know, it's never gone away. And it's it was a real expansion, and it was so visceral and real, and I just knew that this was like my Lemurian self and Lemurian guides, and I just knew as well that I had to share this frequency, and I had to express it. So I started expressing it every way that I could, really. And I knew that it was part of something much bigger, and it was part of like the shift in consciousness, because, you know, there was something about this civilization which people who tune into it kind of recognize it. It's so harmonious, and obviously that's really what we need, is to get back to, in a way, you know, that ability to feel connected and not to feel threatened. And then, you know, what seems to be the problem and the root of so many things is this disconnection that people feel from themselves and from each other and from
Mother Nature.
Oneness. Mother Nature, God, whatever you
I agree.
to call it. And so much of society is kind of keeping people in this feeling of separation and threat, and which kind of makes them kind of reactive and unthinking and disconnected, you know, in from their own hearts and from each other. And I knew that this that Lemuria kind of was going to bring people's memories of Lemuria were going to come back again. This consciousness was coming back, and this feeling of connection, and people finding themselves under all of the conditioning and all of the kind of misrecognition. You know, when people are told that there's something over and over again, they just believe it, but actually we're like all magnificent beings of light who traveled here through lots of different experiences, different places, realms, dimensions, you know, angelic selves. We have those. We have parts of us that have experienced so many different things, and the important thing is now and here. You know, we can access that, and we can draw on that, those experiences, in order to live a richer life, and you know, to be able to feel that guidance and that togetherness and connectedness, which is like so
it's just two different complete worlds. You know, when you go in there and then you come back out, it is just very, it's just very, very different. I mean, some parts of the planet that you visit, you feel that energy, you know. And I think, do you feel that that's why more people are moving out to the country, getting more? Because that's what we've noticed. We're in the United States now, obviously, but I know even in England, a lot more people have gone out of the city into more of the countryside, and to connect more with the nature. And that through that whole pandemic time, was a reflection on that. Do you feel that's why more people are pulling towards countryside and less into a big city?
Yeah, that's the need to reflect and kind of to go inward a bit more.
And slow down.
Yeah, sort of get out of that rhythm of only doing, and just kind of wanting to look a bit beyond that. I think that's definitely going on for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I noticed also, Michiel, that I was reading here, you care work with children.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Because that's our thing, is the children as well, because we have our Children's Foundation, Angels of Light Children's. So I was like, oh wow, what were you doing with the children? Because I saw that brought you really much into your heart center that you mentioned.
Yeah, very much that connection with children, and the spontaneity and enthusiasm that they have. So I was definitely really connecting with them in that job, and I was kind of inspired by their spontaneous energy. So that's I was definitely feeling that. Yeah.
What were you doing? And I think that what were you doing with the children? What were you doing with the children?
Oh, so we did kind of after school activities. So because in Holland the schools close about 3:30. So then for a lot of children, like their parents don't come home until later, so they go to an after school care place. And and that's where I worked for a while. So we did all sorts of activities, like sometimes we did football, sometimes we did some crafts, and all sorts.
It helped you with the children. Yeah.
I have a question. I want to go back to, obviously it took you 3 years to develop these cards. When you develop these cards, obviously with such a beautiful vibration, you must have received some miracles that took place over those 3 years, where they'd be from other people, where they'd through messages, where they'd be through any emotions that took place. Tell us about anything special that happened over those 3 years.
Yeah, they were very special times, and because we went to like sacred places as well. So we're in France, we were in the special caves, weren't we? And we went to Spain, and we saw so many special and inspiring places. It was just it all felt really magical with all the synchronicities. And when we started working on a particular card, for example, like let's say the abundance card, right?
Yeah.
And we could feel the abundance come in as well. So it was kind of like
you were feeding the vibration of every card.
Yeah,
working.
Yeah, it was in my experience. I felt that expanded state, a lot of expanded states that I was going into, and I was able to to really connect to kind of a reassurance, and and kind of knowing that that everything's really aligned, kind of in the right place. So so it was kind of like I was really feeling that, especially on an inner level.
Okay.
And and I feel that the when we were traveling and all that, that was definitely aligning with that inner journey as well, because we saw so many beautiful places. And definitely.
Did any emotions come up for you from whether they be in this life or past lives while you were doing these cards that you think, I need to deal with this emotion now because it's bringing up something that
I mean, I feel like probably my whole adult life has been about healing. And clearing stuff, traumas, and kind of really, and not just from this life but from past lives as well. And during the trip, I was facing a heck of a lot of stuff that had kind of, I thought I had dealt with, but I think it was just lying dormant, some kind of configuration of how I was living was helping me to just not have to deal with that. But then when my ex-husband suddenly said he didn't want to be married anymore, it totally kind of brought it up again, sort of abandonment issues and things. So yeah, I was really traumatized from that, because it was like a 15-year relationship or so, and I wasn't expecting it at all. And so it really traumatized me in various ways around trust and around trusting myself and my perceptions. And because I was working as a clinical psychologist, I thought I was quite astute in picking up what's going on for people. But I think in a way that worked against me, because I misinterpreted the distance I felt, that was in that relationship. I thought that it was, and I kept checking it out, and he said it was, he was feeling down in himself, and and I just kind of was trying to support him to to work through that. But for whatever reason, I think it was the solution for him was to get away completely. So so that although it was obviously a big shock, part of that is in the deck, because there's so much learning that came from that experience, and understanding, and I had a lot of guidance during the whole process as well from spirit, such as like seeing a phoenix, like about in a dream, waking up with like a red triangle, which is the symbol of fire, about a week before it all happened, and kind of deepening into that kind of what was coming through was the part of that was like an initiation, and also obviously a clearing of my life, and it ended up being the catalyst that made me completely change everything. I'd left my job, after we went traveling. I didn't go back to work, and I just moved to Solborn Place, moved to Glastonbury, and got together. The beautiful thing is I got together with Michiel. We created the deck. I'm feel very blessed in this relationship.
Your divorce sounds a bit like mine.
Yes,
Same thing. Wasn't it? Is that what you're laughing?
Exactly.
When she was saying it, I thought that was me.
Yeah.
Same thing. Exactly. Same length of time being married.
Yeah. And he was like a soulmate. He was so familiar, so comfortable.
Yeah, I know.
I saw so many lifetimes that I, was while I was processing this loss, because it was so deep in my heart.
Yeah.
And it went back to like Lemurian times, or just after it, where things obviously started to go a bit sort of awry in that timeline. But for some reason, anyway, that was what happened, and obviously it was meant to be.
Well, yeah, because everything that we go through, and I think you've channeled into these cards as well. And like you said, I think when you're bringing in such a higher vibration, we're always clearing each time that we're doing it. It's not that it just comes in and you just, you don't do any work. No. There's a lot of energy clearing, deep diving before you implement or place it in there, because it has to come from a cleaner, clearer source, I feel. And if you could, what message would you guys like to share for our listeners, maybe one at a time, from the Pleiadians, for our listeners on this planet at this moment in time, because there is a lot going on. A lot going on. And I think, if there is a message that you feel is coming in from the Pleiadians to the listeners, is there anything they would like or you would like to share?
Well, something came in earlier on.
Oh, go on then.
And it was out of the blue. But all of a sudden I got this download, and it was about you know, on the front cover of the book, we've got this sun and we've got these particles, or these like gold discs coming down around this person, the Starchild.
Yeah.
Well, what I was shown this afternoon was these particles coming from this light source, which is like God or source.
Yeah.
They're in us, and we have these what are called adamantine particles. I've only read that, I never knew what it was, but just some little download about it. And these are like our original frequency particles of source, or like energetic kind of seed atoms or something that have like a particular frequency, and that frequency is obviously full of source and connection.
Right.
And we, as embodiments of our soul, and our soul is an extension of our higher self, and our higher self is consciously living at one with source.
Correct.
You know? And we are kind of in a place where it's not so easy to be conscious of that, but it's not impossible. And you know, on Earth, with all the distractions and all the stories we're told about who we are and what we are, and if we just tune in and ask to see our own adamantine particles or source particles or atoms, and just ask to see that light and receive that light, then that light will guide us, you know, in how to nurture it and how to honor it and honor ourselves and to know ourselves, and we'll be able to see ourselves in that light as we truly are.
Do you think that people need to get much more quieter to hear that? Because there is a lot going on out there.
Yeah, so absolutely. And I think that this is why it's so important at this time. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier about knowing our energies, you know, is how important it is to just sit with ourselves and just be with ourselves in peace, in acceptance, just to be conscious of our breath, come back to the breath, you know, let the busy mind do all its busyness in the sides, you know, and let our focus just come back to the body and to just being, so that we can actually start to be quiet, like you say, and to start to hear the whispers and the guidance, you know, of source love, which is always trying to reach us. Yeah.
Would you like to add anything, Michiel?
Yeah, I would say that you know, even if you have a couple of minutes on your day where you can sort of take a time out and attune to that, then that is really helpful, because yeah, it's natural to kind of feel what's that there's a lot going on. We can all feel it, but we can avoid taking it in too much. You know, if any energy comes to us, we can send it to the light and kind of you know, assist with that process, without sort of having to take it in too much. So I feel it's sort of important to make that discernment, and our you know, our spiritual guides can definitely assist us in that process as well. So if you feel it's kind of hard for you, it's good to ask for help from the higher dimensions.
And it makes me think of the Shine Your Light card, which has got a picture of Kuan Yin.
Yes.
Holding her, for me, it's like a bottle of endless compassion.
Yes.
And she, in the meditation that came through you, it was so beautiful. It says about Kuan Yin takes you around the world, and you look down and you can see all these things going on in the world. and she says it's okay. She's going to take a drop of that energy and she's going to put it in her bottle of endless compassion. And as she goes around the world and you go round, the energies are really transforming in this vessel that she has, and their vibration is lifting and the love is getting through to those situations.
It's funny that you were saying that, because as Michiel was talking a moment ago, you know, and I just asked Buddy to pass me some of the cards. And it's funny that you touched on Kuan Yin with the water, because I was getting a message that these cards are also, correct me because they're your cards, but what came in for me intuitively was you could either put these under your pillow or under a glass of water overnight and infuse with that energy. Is that correct?
Yeah, because they're all.
It's funny you just mentioned Kuan Yin and water, and they were telling me put it, pick a card, put it under the water glass, drink it the next morning, and that was coming in when you were talking. Then you mentioned Kuan Yin with the water, so I thought, oh, I am right. Like, you know, pick up the cards. So would you say to use them that way?
And if you have your own intuitive art, or your own sounds or shapes or colors, I definitely recommend, you know, as well, like put that under your pillow, and maybe if you've got a card from us, put it next to the card, or just your own creation, because your light language can be really powerful. I've actually created some t-shirts with my own light language.
Oh wow!
That I had like custom printed with print on demand, and I'm just wearing them sometimes at night as pajamas, and I just kind of feel the light language from them.
Oh right,
yeah,
that's nice. Create your own PJs.
Create your own.
That's good. I never thought of that. No, I never thought. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and just, you know, in your own art, and you know, and even if you if you have sounds coming through, intuitive chants or sounds, light language, just record it and play it back, because you're kind of feeling, you know, that special frequency back to your own consciousness, and you know, you get double the benefit from it. One time from expressing it, and then from receiving those codes again from yourself.
It's really bringing in all these type of energies. I think really, and also what the point is that's coming across here is make sure, because there's so much going on externally in this illusional world, that be careful to pull in the energy that you want, whether it's through the light codes, whether it's through your cards or your art or meditation or nature or visionary, instead of pulling in what someone's saying on a TV box. You know, so it's more
like
or less
the,
lifting.
at this time of year, you know, the witches' hats and the wizards' hats.
Yeah.
They're like that for a reason, because they're kind of saying about, you know, you focus your energies. Don't let your body and those lovely, beautiful, pristine particles that we have inside us.
Correct.
You know, they don't want to be hanging out in like low vibrational energy.
No, I think that's where they get sick then, you know.
Yeah.
And the disconnect really starts. Is there anything else that you would like to leave our listeners with? Anything else that comes through that you'd like to share? Anything at all before we go, even if it's
just you know, take a breath, like just take a deep breath in, and you know, just take a moment to feel your breath in your body. And when you receive light codes, when you receive guidance, you receive light language, it's good to kind of, you know, just breathe it in and sort of circulate it through your body. Because, you know, especially what we do, like when we do our workshops and transmissions, as you know, we say, is like, it's not about you know, just flying into the high dimensions. Actually, what I like to encourage is kind of bring it in, like breathe it in, allow it to flow in through your crown, right, and then receive it in your whole body, because that's how your vibration starts to go up, and also you start to kind of stabilize while you're flowing with those energies.
Mm.
And then you don't need to ground into the earth so much, because
Yeah.
that can sometimes mean taking things in from the earth, that the earth's just kind of detoxing. But in
Right.
this way, you're kind of just flowing with the high energies. You're learning to walk with them, to live with them, kind of by taking moments, just taking little moments throughout the day to let those energies flow in. So so that's what I'd like to share this time. Yeah.
And if you do ground to the earth, make sure it's the new earth, and it's the crystalline kind of heart.
Oh, that's a great point, actually.
Of Gaia.
The new earth of Gaia.
The new earth. Yeah.
Yes.
So because the more top levels, I think, is where all the residue is, whereas the crystalline core is the divine. It's part of that divine creation.
That's lovely.
Pristine creation.
Yeah, it's very powerful, actually, that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing us today, and thank
sharing
you for being
your
with us
time
today.
and
Thank you.
the beautiful energy and the cards and the book. And we will be putting all your information on our platforms, and because I know that you've got a store and you've got lovely images and drawings and paintings. They are very beautiful. If anyone's interested, we will be putting those all down for you. And
thank you so much. That's
you're
very nice.
welcome.
Thank you so much, and feel free to get in contact with us at info@themagicalmedicalspodcast.com. That's info@themagicalmedicalspodcast.com, and thank you for joining us today.